Hell yeah.
Hey everybody, it's Kat, and I want to welcome you to this episode of Backstory Sessions. I'm joined today by my co-host Matt. Hey Matt.
Hey, Kat. Hey, everyone. How are you?
Well, as we said last week, we are now in March, and I've always heard if March comes in like a lion, goes out like a lamb, or vice versa.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Not vice
So
versa.
yeah, so I don't know. I think it seems like it's come in like a lamb. It's been fairly stable here for the weekend.
Yeah. Well, I guess Saturday here was in the 50s earlier in the day, and then it dropped down to I don't know, ridiculously cold last night.
So we also had like a 20-point drop of, of the highs from Saturday to Sunday. So I don't know. Does that constitute lion, you think? I'm not sure, but
No, not really. I would think like a major snowstorm or something like that would be.
yeah, yeah. So if you look at it that way, it means that the worst is yet to come. So
Oh, yeah, there's that.
I'm always glad to, be the bearer of the news.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah. But, the good news is that probably winter is about finished.
Yeah, hopefully. I guess we'll find out in a couple weeks, but for I would say generally, it does. We do get snow every now and then, but March is generally the turning point, I guess.
Well, there's just something about that turning point, it gives you, like, even if it does come in a little snow here or there, like you have hope, spring is like near.
Yeah, I was actually outside today, and I have a lot of daffodils, I guess,
Aw,
near,
the Easter
near
flowers.
yeah, near the house, and those are actually starting to poke up through the mulch. So
Well, I'll have to see a picture when those bloom. That's like a really good sign that spring is here.
yeah, yeah. Well, they're coming up. They're only like maybe an inch and a half high, but they are definitely coming up.
Good enough for me.
All
I'm encouraged by that news.
right, we're calling it spring.
Yes, right. So, you don't even have to be a groundhog to call that. So
That's right.
I feel like we're qualified as podcasters.
Yeah, yeah. As much as anyone else.
Uh, yeah, at least. Well, it's been a busy start to March for me.
Yeah, you had the mystery meets play going on this weekend.
Yeah, three performances in 2 days, and the show itself is like 2.5 hours with the pre-show.
Wow.
So it was like 5 hours of, strict performing, and that doesn't even count like, the hour before of setting it all up or hour and a half depending. And then the striking, all of it after and loading it back up. It's a lot of work. It made for a really long day, but it was we had some milestones in that, it was our 11th show completed. So, not performance, but actual different show,
Yeah.
the 11th one. And
Cool.
that's pretty cool since, we're not even 2 years old yet.
Yeah. Yeah. When do you turn two?
In July. So,
Wow.
yeah. We did our first show the end of July, and then that show continued into August.
Mm-hmm.
So, it'll just be a few months and we will be 2 years old.
Wow. That's awesome. So when is the next show?
Well, I can tell you what the next show is. The Most Human, which will be a great show for animal lovers. And, we're going to like partner with some local humane societies and or animal organizations so that the proceeds, we can give a large percentage of proceeds to help animals.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited that we try to pick some cause when we can, and that's really a rewarding part of it.
So this one is based on a play that you wrote a while back?
Yeah, so The Most Human is actually published, and it is my play, and we're going to extend it with, like a second act.
Mm.
So that part will have its own little twist. So I'm excited to see that. I think that'll be the first time really that I've tackled something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see where it goes.
So it's published, but has it been performed? I think it has, right?
Yes, it's been performed a lot of times, really. And I mean, I know it sounds bad to say, but I mean, I can see why, because it has, it has suspense and the plot twist,
Mm-hmm.
and also it just, speaks to your heart if you have ever loved an animal that seemed like more like a family member, than just an animal.
Yeah, yeah, I remember reading that play, and it was good. I mean,
Well, thank you.
certainly be interesting to see what you do with it.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I am excited too. The way everything goes, it moves at warp speed. So when we do the podcast next week on Sunday, we'll know how it went because it'll have to be finished. And then auditions start, and the whole process, just begins again. So while it is almost 2 years and 11 shows, it's a lot of work, and so it does make me proud because I mean, a lot of arts businesses don't last. And, so far we're holding on, and,
right,
we're hanging in there, and that's really good in this economy, and the way, just the way that arts businesses after, especially after COVID, a lot
right.
had to shut down and just never were able to come back.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So,
So, yeah.
is there a astronaut involved in this next show?
Y- You know, I I guess we'll see when next week, like after it's written, but I don't really anticipate there being anything like that, any character like that.
Okay,
This is a pretty serious play, more so. There's humor in it, of course,
right.
uh, and some plot twists and all that, but it's definitely not like the one we just finished was futuristic and kind of, like it was a spoof of James Bond, and
Mm-hmm.
so it was meant to be over the top. But this one is more, more down to earth, human, relatable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what you come up with for the second part of it because I've already heard or already read the first part. So,
You've given me some food for thought, which was our, last week's episode,
right, yeah,
with the vegan documentary,
yeah,
and yeah, I should give an update about that. I feel like,
okay,
I did for a day go vegan and not eat meat, and I have continued to implement certain meals with plant-based food.
yeah. I remember you telling me there were a couple things that you liked and some things you weren't crazy about, and
Yeah,
yeah. Well, that's good.
and there's still a lot of things out there to try, so I'm gonna just hold off on deciding and just do it, thing by thing. In our group, a lot of people posted recipes to try, and, things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna keep an open mind to it. Have you done any plant based, since the episode? Did it cause you to try it for a meal or
Yeah,
whatever?
I can't remember, to be honest with you. I'm gonna say no, but I don't remember everything. So, I mean, I may have had one or two meals that were plant based, but I don't recall.
Well, I mean, I think it's easy to have a plant-based meal. Like, if you're not even thinking about it, you might just eat fruits and vegetables, that
Yeah,
and no meat. So, or you could eat like a whole pie or some, some kind of
right. Yeah,
sweets, and you would be still plant-based if you eat a certain what figgy pudding. I don't know.
yeah. I
Well, that's not happening. Like,
don't know. Jello, maybe. I don't know.
yeah, who even knows? But I I do think that from time to time there are things. Well, pretty much every episode there's something in someone's backstory or some information we get that causes me to think about it, and so I hope the listeners find that too.
Yeah, and I know there are a lot of people who are very adamant about being vegan, and yeah, yeah, that's good for them. You know, Uh, I don't know that I can do it, but
Well, one person said you can't do it for a day. So
yeah, yeah, well,
and then other people are, we in our group, I mean, it was a pretty good mix of the people that are, definitely not giving up meat and the people that already have, and,
hmm
then the people like me that are trying it for a day a week or, trying to do the best to just implement it and see what happens.
yeah. Well, I mean, good luck with that.
Yeah. Well, I'll keep you posted of my next my next thing to try is fishless, like so fishless, meatless fish,
Fishless.
fishless fish. Well, it is in a way. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
but it's not called fishless. So, anyway, that's next on my list to try.
that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to expect, but
Yeah, I don't even think I've heard of that, but
I know I hadn't either. But when I was doing the food shopping, I saw it and I was like, okay, well, I like fish, so
hmm.
maybe I'll like fishless fish.
I wonder what it's made of.
Well, probably soybeans or
Yeah, like
peas
tofu
or
or
I don't
whatever.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't know.
Hmm.
Uh, but it's interesting.
Well, you'll have to update me on that one.
Yeah, I'll take a picture even, although, sometimes that gets you in trouble in the group.
Yeah, yeah, well, just don't post it.
Yeah, I'll send it just to you.
Yeah.
But, I mean, life is busy and we learn stuff from everybody we interview, and even just, in our talking back and forth uh dialogue at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Generally we it's either based on something we've already learned because we talk to each other, or that we learn while talking to each other, like about fishless fish.
Right, yeah. Well, there
You
you
have
go.
you have learned that now from me.
Yeah. So, well, who is our guest this week?
Andy James is our guest, and you know, so I will say I have not had a lot of exposure to flamenco dancing.
Flamenco, yeah. Uh, certainly something different for sure.
Mhm.
So she was a dancer for many years, I guess, and she still does dance, and but she also sings, and she
Does jazz, you
right.
know.
So she
Yeah.
has a new album coming out.
Yeah, we're gonna talk to her about that. It's Happy People. And, I think we could all use some of that, especially after my, prediction of the weather.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Also, I think we have like, doesn't the time like change next week or something?
I think it does. That's
Yeah.
always so rough.
So, that always is like hard to adjust to, I think, for a day or two. And
Yeah, because you lose an hour. So,
yeah. So,
but not
and
it's not
then,
like I sleep anyway. So, I mean,
no, you won't even know it. You'll be like,
all right, like oh
unless, of course, you sleep an hour less, like it makes you wake up at 2:30
yeah,
instead.
it's to 3:30. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So that, you got that to look forward to.
Sure.
I'm just overjoyed, with
Hmm.
good, good news and wishes. So, but I do look forward to, jazz is we had one of our shows that was we had a live jazz band, and jazz is wonderful. It's very mood setting, and
Yeah, for sure.
I think I'm just really interested. Also, it takes a lot of dedication, but I feel like like even with the blues, like some music is more like soul driven, or like I don't know.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
it feels like your soul goes into it. And jazz is one of those that just feels like it's an extension of the artist to me.
hmm
Andy and Piero, I want to welcome you to Backstory Sessions. We are very excited to have you both as our guests today.
Thank you.
Well, so I have a lot of questions, and I know Matt does as well. But we like to, before we jump into the project, we're going to be talking about happy people. But, I'd like to get a little bit about your background and see kind of what led you into this field to begin with. So, Andy, we'll start with you. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming, musician, songwriter, dancer, all the things, an artist?
Well, I come from a family of my mother was a singer and my father was a flamenco enthusiast. And so we just listened to flamenco and jazz all the time. My parents played it on the radio. They played their records. They every morning around the breakfast table, all through the weekends. And my father just loved flamenco. So I started off learning flamenco when I was a little girl, and my mother would sing to me at night, so I started singing with her as well. So after that, I just went to Spain and studied flamenco and did backup singing with my mother around Melbourne, Australia, and ended up moving to Spain for quite a few years and living there and working there. And I met Piero in Australia with we were doing Carmen, the opera, and we were both dancing in it. And so after that, we moved to Spain and worked there together for quite a few years. And then we moved to Las Vegas and we started a label here, Recoke Records, and we started doing recording all my favorite songs because I'd always wanted to record it, and brings us up to where we are now, actually.
So was there ever another career that you considered, or you've just always known this was your path?
Well, we had a career in flamenco for quite a long time, but this is my big passion.
Okay. All right. And Piero, what has your journey been like?
Wow, mine's been a long go, a long haul. I actually started as a ballet dancer when I was young, and I was in the Australian Ballet and the Royal Ballet. And I progressed from that. I progressed from that into being a flamenco dancer. I mean, I was also a pianist, and I always had played piano as well, but I had to pick something. You can't do everything. So I originally picked ballet, traveled the world doing that. And then I met Andy in a rehearsal for, as she was saying, an opera Carmen that was at the Opera House in Australia. And then, we met there, and then we started to think, hey, let's do this flamenco everywhere. And so we went to Madrid and started to set up there and met everyone. And we would see all the jazz players as well. Chick Corea would come in and all the players would come in. And he used to like speaking English because, he was Italian, so he didn't really speak Spanish very well. And so that was convenient. And then he gave us a lot of suggestions to do mixing. Didn't he, Andy? He gave us a lot of suggestions mixing flamenco and jazz together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but we didn't have the guts then, did we? We didn't want to do it. We were thinking, oh, we're flamenco artists, we better not mix it. So
Well-
we moved on, and then he gave us a lot of advice about that. Then we, as Andy said, we moved to Las Vegas, started the label, the Coke Records. I met all the musicians that some of them I had met in Spain, Alex Lacuna, or the great percussionist from Weather Report and Elvis fame. And we already knew a number of the players through Chick Corea. And so it made it easier to get into the field. And so we started doing that as well. And until this point, we had never thought about really mixing the flamenco with the jazz until this record. And that's why we decided to write it. It's an original album, mostly, except for 2 songs. And that's where we are now.
All right. So whose idea was it, or who brought it up first to say, I've been thinking, like, why don't we combine them and, see what we can do with an album?
Well, it was actually originally Paco de los Cias, the famous flamenco guitarist in Spain's idea, and then Chick Corea joined in, and they both talked us into doing it. So we had started it years ago when Chick was alive, and he's sadly passed now, and Paco de los Cias sadly passed as well. So we really finally took their advice. So it was really their advice to do this, but it's all our work. So we wrote it, and then we got the wonderful John Coward to arrange it, and he helped with some of the music, and we all collaborated on it.
And Carlito del Puerto from the
from the bass player
Spanish Heart Band.
Spanish Heart Band was in the recording as well. And Marcus Gilmore, who was in the Spanish Heart Band, was in the recording as well. So we tried to get Chick Corea's people involved in it.
And the great Alex Acuna, who plays everything.
He plays everything.
So, Andy, what was the first song that you felt like this is really a great idea and this is going to work?
Well, I'd say there's a few of them, but Happy People is very much the single and the title track of the album. And so we had Canito, who's my guitarist from when I was in Spain, and he plays a lot of flamenco in it. And John Coward, his writing style was quite flamenco in it as well. And it was the glue that was needed in this song. So it has a lot of rhythm. It's a fast, very fast kind of 4/4 beat. And it's got, I think that would be the one, definitely.
So would you say that you're both happy people?
Yes.
Today we are.
Well, we've been together a long time doing this, so yeah. Well, we are. I've got a glass of wine, so I'm doing well.
I think you're happier than me.
Probably, but men are always happier than girls.
Are they?
Yeah, that's my opinion. Don't you think?
That would probably agree with that.
I mean, don't you, Kat? I mean, think about it.
I mean, there's definitely, I think, happier people, than I don't think you can be sad with flamenco. It just seems like a happy medium to me. So,
well, the funny thing, Kat, is that flamenco is a very sad form of music in general. So we did write some very sad ones, like I Don't Know How to Love and Please Don't Change My Mind and those type of things. And there was a particular song in it that Andy sang that she felt she had to do from the old days, which was Bésame Mucho.
wow.
The grand old one that Bocelli made famous lately, of the last number of years.
Well, Andy, do you find that you love the ballads and the sad as much as the happy, or y-
I
you
absolutely, I really gravitate towards ballads. I actually love ballad singers. My favorite singer is like Sarah Vaughan, and she just sang, as far as I'm concerned, no one sang a ballad like her. So I love Andrea Bocelli too. I think I actually gravitate towards the very romantic kind of tear jerking ballads, definitely.
Yeah, I told you girls like that.
yes, we definitely that would probably be my favorites to listen to. S- So how long did this take after I know it started before, but when you really, decided we're going to do this, how long was the process and what was that like?
6 months, about
Yeah, back
6 months. We recorded it in New York, and we recorded it in Sevilla, and we recorded it in Rome, and then we recorded it in Las Vegas, and we mixed it in Los Angeles, and it's 13 originals and 2 covers. So it was quite a big undertaking actually. And of course, we wrote the songs before that as well.
sort of your life story, really.
Well, it's our life story.
Yeah, yours particularly.
So yes, that's probably
But all these songs have
probably a year
life
altogether.
story.
But yes, that's right. It was thought about for probably 20 years before that.
Yeah, it took in a total 6 months, Kat, because we had written everything and then we gave it to John Cowher to arrange it all. And then we went to New York to record it originally with the first band. Then we had some more players that joined us in Rome and Sevilla because we couldn't get all the players we needed at one time. So the nucleus of the album was recorded, which was 10 songs in New York. And then we moved on to Rome and recorded another 6 songs. And then from there we went to Sevilla to add our great friend and companion from many years in Spain, Canito, to put the flamenco guitar and Cepillo San Luca to put in hand clapping, which is called palmas, and jaleos, which is loud encouragement, which Andy and Cepillo did. And we brought in a flamenco dancer to do some stuff with Andy dancing as well. His name was Abel Arena, and he did some dancing on it because Andy couldn't sing and dance at the same time on some of the numbers on a song called "Dance with You" and "A Loss of Love."
Well, how do you feel the different locations, like of recording, around the world, different places? Did that have any impact, good or bad, on the final product?
What do you think, Andy? That was fun, wasn't it?
It was a lot of fun actually, going to different studios and seeing how they're set up and weaving through the streets of the city to try and find the studio. We've been to some unusual studios.
Sevilla was difficult.
Really unusual studios. We actually got caught in the lift of one of the studios because every time you wanted to go up and down the stairs, you had to run down the stairs to turn the lift open, and then run back upstairs to open the lift and close the lift. And I thought, we're going to get stuck in a lift. We're just going to be living in a lift.
And actually, Pat, the record morphed to be more flamenco than it ever was in the original writing, because when I had written it, I had taught the musicians the rhythms of flamenco. So a couple of the players had a good idea from Chick Corea being in his band, but they didn't quite know everything we wanted to do. So once I had taught them all those rhythms, I needed some extra players to actually fulfill what we had wanted to do. So that's why we went to Sevilla, to get the real, pure flamenco artists to add touches to it with us so that we had some help, because jazz players are fantastic, but they don't quite know flamenco exactly.
It's a different sound on the guitar. It sounds different.
And we had a wonderful guitarist from Brazil, Piero, and he is wonderful, but he's not a flamenco guitarist.
But he is the monster.
Oh, he's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
So having the two together was great because it combined both the jazz sound and the
You had the
flamenco
Latin
sound.
jazz with the flamenco, so it gave it a different twist.
And they really enjoyed playing together because they were so busy in sort of studying each other's technique and
admiring each other.
The different sounds from the different guitars. It's unusual.
So had you recorded this, 6 months prior to beginning it, or a year prior, or, when the idea first was presented, how might it have been different than it turned out?
Well, very
good question.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Well, by us being able to travel to all these places and enlarge the album, it gave us the opportunity to make it much better than it probably would have been if we'd just done what we did in New York. Because all the flamenco would have been Andy, me, and Alex Acuna would have been the ones really putting in the feel of it without any real help from artists that just
we ended up
play
with
that.
3 other flamenco artists.
Yeah.
So it became much more flamenco.
And now the whole band knows so much more about flamenco than they ever did. So now they can use that in their own careers and do other things.
Awesome. All right, Matt, this is a fascinating story
Yeah,
of
sure.
the evolution for happy people.
Yeah, so I'm curious, so I know you've traveled around a lot, been to a lot of different places. Excuse me. And I was just curious what made you decide to settle in Vegas?
Well,
City of Lights.
that's right. It was those beautiful, beautiful weather. I love the weather. I love the horizon, the beauty of it. It's so natural to look at. We don't gamble.
Well,
so.
we'd had coming to Vegas since '97, doing one-off gigs, and we loved it so much. We kept coming back and back and back. It just sort of got into our skin, Everyone asked us, why Vegas, Why not, Madrid, London, or New York? But there's a lot of things about New York, it's great for jazz. But, it's a bit of a difficult place to live.
Yeah.
And the traffic. And we lived in Hollywood Hills in LA for 6 years as well, once we established a label to get to know all the LA players. But that traffic again. So, we moved out of LA because the traffic is impossible to get to a show. Or you got to leave 2 or 3 hours before the show.
Right.
To make it. So that was a bit of a turn off in a way. Although we liked LA and we liked the players, and with Vegas, there's a lot of good players that live here, like Steve Gadd, the famous jazz drummer. He just lives here like we do and works out of town most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not really home a lot.
And let's face it, if we want to steak at 3 a.m., we can get one.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And all the players love coming here and hanging with us and recording. There's a studio here called Studio A Las Vegas, run by our mixer, Josh Conley, who works with everyone from Lady Gaga to Usher to Santana. And, they all come in and we'll all record and see everyone and have fun. So that is another big incentive, having the studio here, that we can go anytime we like and do whatever we need to do to record or put down or to overdub a better track. Or like yesterday, Andy, you did some overdubs.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we did for our Nashville.
Yeah, we have a Nashville jazz country album that will be coming out as well.
Wow.
That were written by Nashville writers. It's a very interesting album.
Yeah.
That'll be coming out soon too. But we have a lot of albums, Kat. We have a big band album we're going to bring out next that we had recorded and had been holding in a drawer, wondering when to release it.
Wow. You guys are...
We had, I think 5 albums waiting to be dropped.
Wow.
But you can't drop them all at once, can you?
That's true.
And so we're sort of figuring out how. So now we're going to put out this original flamenco jazz album, and then next, why not a big band? And then after that, the Nashville album, which has got country influence all over it, jazz country. And then we have a number of other albums. We have a Beatles album we recorded as well with a very jazz twist on it.
Wow.
With wonderful players. And believe it or not, a Marvin Gaye inspired album that has a lot of wonderful players on it.
Jeez.
So there's a lot of things that we're going to release. It's just when.
So when you were recording Happy People, did you find that you had way more material than you needed? And
yes. We actually wrote 18 originals for that album, but 14 made it.
Because the songs don't always end up the way you think they will.
I love them. I'm putting them in another next.
They start off one way and end up another way. They evolve.
Sure.
So you have to.
And you try to pick the best.
You can tell if you really love them right from the start, but you just sometimes they turn out differently to what you expect, don't they?
Yeah, but there's always Happy People too. Because there's already 4 from that, and we have written another 7, so there's an album for it.
Wow, you guys are certainly busy.
Later in the year,
certainly
probably on tour. We're actually going on tour in April around Italy to promote this album. We're going to. Where are we going, Eddie? You've got this.
Yes, as soon as I get off the phone, I'm going to brush up on my Italian.
We're going to Venice and Rome and Bari and Bologna. There's a lot of places we're going to promote the album.
Very nice.
And then when we finish that, we've got a big show in Miami on the beach to promote it as well, which will be fun.
It'll be good. I can speak English.
That's on May 3rd. Our shows start on April 17th in Italy.
Cool.
And then we keep going around. And then we have more tours in July in Spain promoting it, which will be a lot of fun. You know, it's almost like we have a saying in Australia, taking coals to Newcastle. Newcastle is the city in Australia that has a lot of coal for the world. I don't know if you've ever heard of that city.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's the saying, you know, taking flamenco to Spain, which we already did for many years, but with a jazz twist should be very interesting.
Yeah. Wow, you guys certainly keep busy, that's for sure.
We want to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what do you do? Shouldn't you? I'm sure you two are really busy.
I keep busy for sure.
Great.
Andy, I'm curious how social media fits into your, is that something that you're big into, or would you, rather not have to use it, or what do you think?
Well, I'm a bit of a dinosaur with social media, but I must admit it's actually fantastic now because everyone can actually, enjoy our music in every part of the globe who perhaps would never have been able to before the current digital age. There's Spotify. Everything's just at your fingertips. So it's actually pretty wonderful. If I want to listen to anyone, I can just look it up on social media. You don't have to go to a store and buy it and take it home and realize that, maybe it's not what you want. You can just sort of, find anything you want. So it's actually fantastic for that.
Not financially, but fantastic for
yes.
As we all know.
Yes.
So as an artist, do you think it helps or hinders, or is it just one more thing that you have to do in order to get your music out there?
I think it actually helps because you can just put it out your music everywhere and people can hear it everywhere. Like people in Hungary and people in Poland actually listen to our music, and it's kind of great because, without all that, it would be so much slower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our podcast is really big in Ghana for some reason. We still haven't been able to figure
and
that.
Andy's really big in Hungary.
Yeah, number one song in Hungary.
Who knew?
Yeah, there you go.
You must go to Budapest. We must go.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Kat, what else you got?
So is it true that one of the songs is 12 minutes long?
Yes, it is.
That's
Kat.
right.
Yeah, you know why we did that? Because in flamenco, there's a big tradition of having one very long word. And they call it missa flamenco
Which
especially
means
with gypsy.
flamenco mass, like the church mass, because that's how long it is. And a lot of the flamenco solos, when you dance, are 12, 15 minutes long. We had one that was one
20.
flamenco artist who was like 25 minutes long, and I don't know what he did, but he disappeared in the middle of the song and came left the stage and came back.
I remember that. He tapped the percussionist on the shoulder and said, "I'll be back."
Go and have a snack.
He came back. Whole thing lasted 25 minutes solo.
Well, that's a really long song for today's music or listener, I think. But
It's very
seeing it
long.
live, has a different feel, I'm sure.
Well, you changed the feel when you wrote it, Andy. You changed the feel.
Well, we haven't done it live yet.
No, but we will soon.
Yes, it has flamenco dancing in the middle of it, so I'll probably flamenco dance and then have a little rest
Have
and come back
oxygen and come back.
come back into the end of it.
Yeah.
You'll see how it goes. I guess.
You might need an inhaler in the middle just to come back.
So you mentioned out the different albums, that you will have coming out, like
Yes.
country with jazz and the Beatles, and what
And a big band.
Yeah. So what is your favorite music besides your?
I absolutely love Sarah Vaughan and her type of jazz. I like big band jazz. I like so many different types of things. I actually just love it. If music is good, I like it.
And you rave about Ray Charles.
I like opera. I like country. I like jazz. I love jazz. I think Sarah Vaughan type jazz, Ella Fitzgerald, Ray Charles. Yeah, that kind of thing.
So what do you hope that people take away from this album?
Your exuberance in writing it, I think, wouldn't you?
I have to get a feel for it. They just get a vibe from it. They can enjoy listening to it and get a feeling for it.
Yeah, all the rhythms of your life's career, really. I remember when we started it, you were telling me that you wanted to show your jazz audience what else you've done in your life and what you can do.
So did you find it difficult working together, or did you completely agree on everything and it went very smoothly?
No. When does it go smoothly? We always fight about the melody line.
Creating has its ups and downs. I'll give you that. Writing songs has its ups and downs because people don't always agree. It's just like life. People don't always agree. And one person feels something, the other person doesn't feel it. You can't kind of agree on it. But in the end, it all came together. And when it starts coming together at the end, you get a buzz out of it. You do.
Yeah, you do.
You enjoy it. And we always agree. We generally always agree on what's good and what isn't.
In the end, yeah, we do.
You know what I mean?
And then we fight with the arranger.
And then the arranger will come in and disagree and agree and disagree and disagree. And he liked it too. So I think
we had to indoctrinate them.
So I think we kind of got there in the end. Touch wood.
Because a lot of jazz arrangers like to make everything resolve into a nice, sort of ending. Sometimes in flamenco and what we like to have a crescendo and make it build. And that's not really something they like in jazz so much. But we got there.
We all agreed in the end.
Yes.
So now that the project is finished, what is your thoughts? Are you just to the moon excited and proud? Or do you find yourselves always wishing, if we could go back, I would just tweak this a little, or are you able to just say, this is it, this is the way it was meant to be, and we love it this way?
Sometimes you have to actually listen to it again in 5 or 6 years, and you go, "Oh, that's better than I thought it was." You know what I mean? And right at the time, I'm thinking, "Oh, I could have done this, and maybe I should have done that." Blah blah blah. But at the end, you know what I mean?
But most artists don't like what they do.
Is that
They
true?
think it's not as good as it should be.
Well, I guess that's what art is about. It's ever evolving. It's always evolving. But as I said before, we're kind of happy with. At the moment, we're pleased and excited about it.
Yeah, but things change, Kat, because like this big band's
They
going
might be
to release soon. Andy did that about 2 years ago, so she sang it 2 years ago, and there's this discussion now because she sings differently than she did 2 years ago. Do you go back and re-sing it all, or leave it as it was when it was meant to be at that time? That's the question you always face as an artist. Do you re-sing it all, or leave it as it was, as you did it?
Yeah.
And I wanted to leave it as it is. And of course, Andy's a perfectionist, so she keeps wanting to change things.
Well, actually, as I said before, I listened to it and thought, "Oh, it's better than I thought." So I might just leave it.
Because you change, you evolve into different styles in your singing, and you do different things. So,
like when we were dancing, we'd look at it like a fine-tooth comb, really.
Brilliant. Every possible little thing. I mean, you can always go back and change a note, can't you, if you wanted it, but not the whole thing.
Well, who's the most critical of your work, of the two of you?
Andy, definitely. Own up, Andy. Come on. Own up.
Oh, you
know you drive me crazy sometimes thinking it's not good, but it's always good. It's just, she is really a perfectionist and she wants it perfect.
Yeah.
What she considers perfect, not what other people do. So that's always a little bit of a fight, try to make her satisfied with what she's done.
Well, I actually let everyone decide too. I go with the general consensus of things too, because other people help you along the way, and they might find, if everyone thinks it's okay and it's pretty good,
it's okay,
then chances are you might be being a bit hard on yourself.
You always
know what I mean? If that makes sense.
So, this has popped into my mind, but how funny in some ways. Happy People Drops is like a huge success. You win a Grammy or, some award, and you're like crying, but it's for happy people. Do you like, what is happy people? What emotion do you hope that sums up for the work, since that's the title? And you've already told us there are some songs that, will bring up other emotions other than happiness. So, what does happy people mean to you collectively?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I haven't actually.
Well, that was the original song you wrote, Andy, Happy People, because you wanted it to be an uplifting album. And then you couldn't resist yourself, so we wrote some sad ones as well. But there are happy songs in that. To Be So Young is a happy song, right? There are happy things. Dance With You, there's a lot of happy songs there. But Happy People was the initial nucleus of the whole thing. And it was something you wanted to write, and you penned all the words, and hey.
I want them to be deliriously happy and go to somewhere
celebrate. That would be good.
Well, Matt, do you have any last thoughts you want to share?
No, it's been it's been pretty cool, interesting, kind of a little bit different than what we typically do, and we certainly appreciate your time.
Was that good or bad?
No, it's good. I mean,
thank you very much.
Yes, you too. Right. It's been a great interview.
Yeah. I'm sorry about the technical difficulty. I don't know what happened there.
That's nothing. I mean,
that could have been our fault.
I was just sitting here having a glass of wine, and I sort of muffled in on your conversation.
I'm like, I hope they're not still answering the question.
We were
Oh,
actually.
we were for about
We're
10
talk-
minutes.
he's talking away. He's talking away, and I'm going, hang on, I don't know if they're still there.
You actually missed some good stuff.
It's always like that. The best stuff is like when you're not recording.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you'll come back and talk to us about the Nashville album.
definitely.
And
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
love this.
You two were great. We really enjoyed this.
Well, thank you so
We-
much. We appreciate that.
yeah.
Thank
Maybe
you.
next time I might not, hog my way in on this one.
Well, I mean, I can say your name now, Piero.
Piero Pata,
So
yeah.
you have-
Peter Foot.
Peter Foot.
I'm getting closer, so you have to come back now.
That's right.
Yes, all right. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
you, Barb.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye
You
then.
too.